getting to see people not online but in person has been amazing. And I'm always just really excited when I come to the summit because I love to go home and take home all of the business cards and all of the slide presentations and all of these materials and figure out how I can use them in my setting and use them even when I go out to do professional development for K-12 teachers. And I utilize a lot of the things I learn at the summit to share UDL across the country.
When you introduce UDL to first-time users that aren't familiar with it, I think it's important that you can start anywhere and you just need to understand that it's about offering variable options for the variability of all your learners.
UDL is not just a schema for classrooms, it's really a way of looking at education. So we went from, well, here's what's going on in your classroom, to here's what's going on in this learning environment that we call a school.
UDL really, it frames the way that we, the culture with which we approach teaching and learning. You know, thinking about when we get somebody who learns differently as like, oh no, now I'm gonna have to like, good, they're giving me new ways to think about this. When we design learning experiences that work for people who traditionally have been excluded from those learning experiences, we find that everybody ends up benefiting.
UDL for me is a methodology around pedagogical justice. So I really try hard to support students to have that experience of equity, and they bring that forward into their practice, which I think is really, really valuable for them to see that.
There's this one instructor, he had a student enroll in his class and the student was blind. And his class is, a lot of it is about identifying different rocks and minerals by the way that they look for the most part. And so he really had to rethink the way that he was going to teach this class. He recreated visuals that you would normally just see in a textbook, but in a tactile version for this student. He found how beneficial that was for that student and also for other students. And he ended up making those into digital formats that can now be printed out on 3D printers. And so he has this huge repository of all of these diagrams for geology, and anyone in the world that has access to a 3D printer can print them and use those, which is so cool.
We've got a furniture system that works like a kit of parts. You could almost imagine it as a Lego set turned into furniture, and go create your environment. But once you empower a student to shape their environment, they realize they've got a space to think freely. And when it comes to the assignment, they're gonna carry that student agency forward.
When we honor the learners, we invite them into positions of power and authority to make decisions for themselves about their leading and their learning and their teaching, because they don't come into the classroom just an empty vessel to be filled. They come into the classroom full of value, ready to fill us.